If you do Google Ads, you're investing in Google. Whereas if you do SEO, you're investing in a product you own, your website and your brand. You're actually investing in something that you have complete control over, yourself, which is a huge advantage in the long run when you're thinking about your return and where your time and money should be spent. SEO. Wow, that is a word that is always covered in controversy. It seems like something that's always kept behind closed doors. Everybody talks about it. People tell you that you want it and you need it, but then for some reason, nobody can really explain what it is or how it works or how you know if you're successful or not. So many people sign up for it and they have no understanding of what they're getting themselves into or what they actually bought. They just know they want it. Well, if that's you, then this episode today is going to help you a lot. It's going to help you understand exactly what SEO is, why it's important, even compared to some other options on the market. So for the record, SEO is something I have done with my clinic. I've done both Google Ads and SEO, which we'll be comparing a little bit today. And I'm going to share with you my experiences, clarify a lot of things. There are so many myths surrounding SEO. People think it's only for big companies, that smaller companies shouldn't bother with it. Totally not true. It's one of the ways you can compete with the big boys, even if they have a lot more money than you. Think about ads. You'll never be able to outspend some of them, but you can work on your SEO to your advantage. Another myth is that people only click on ads. Actually, this is entirely untrue. More people skip over the ads and go to the first results on the page than they actually do click on the exact ads. Now, if that's any proof, I know it's something I want to know more about if it's beating out ads. So what exactly is SEO? I want to clarify that before I get too crazy and too deep into why I get excited about it. There are things that you can do to actually change where you rank your website shows up on search engines. That's what SEO is. How do I get higher on search engine rankings without actually paying the search engine to put me up there? Now, on the contrast, you have ads, stuff like Google ads, Facebook ads, basically where you're out there bidding against other companies, like we mentioned, who may have bigger ad budgets. It's literally an auction saying, I'll pay this much to show up high on the search results. Really, it comes down to an investment. You're investing your money in one of two things. You're either investing your money in ads or you're investing your money in SEO. Now, if you invest your money in ads, really, you're putting it towards another company, such as Google, right? If you do Google Ads, you're investing in Google. Whereas if you do SEO, you're investing in a product you own, your website and your brand. You're actually investing in something that you have complete control over, yourself, which is a huge advantage in the long run when you're thinking about your return and where your time and money should be spent. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing there's not a time and place for Google Ads. They do work, but the reality of them working is for them to work better, for them to work more, you actually have to spend more money, right? If you're getting, say, 15 leads a month from Google Ads and you want to get more, well, you double your budget. You're actually spending more money to grow and scale it. Whereas with SEO, you're not having to do that. It's a little trick that people don't realize. SEO's investing in your own real estate, the only place you really own on the internet, and that is your website, your reputation. As I alluded to, more and more people every year are skipping over the ads section in search engine results. So, when you go to Google and someone's bidding, the first few, up to 4 potentially, spots are going to be shown are ads. Well, they've been doing a lot of research on this to the point where Google's getting nervous. In 2019, Google saw their ad revenue dip significantly. And that's why in 2020, they actually tried to launch a new way to display the ads to make them look a little less like ads. But there's this whole ethical thing with they have to still say they're ads. They can't just make them look like normal search results. Google right now is trying to figure out how to solve this problem because they know they're losing ad money because people are skipping over ads and going to whatever the search engine shows organically. Now, if Google's stressing over it that much, guess where I want to be? Sure, it's nice to show up in an ad, but I want to be showing up well from a search engine perspective, even if I'm not paying. In other words, if you're not doing SEO for your website, for your business, you should be. You're missing out on an important part of investing in your long-term future. There are two types of SEO, so let's actually get into the nitty-gritty of what it means and what types there are. There are two, okay? So the first one is called on-page, which really means on your website pages. In other words, it's stuff you can actually do to your website that the search engines will reward and rank you higher because of it, okay? We're talking things like page speed, how fast does your website load? We're talking things like mobile view. Is it actually a good mobile view? That's a huge factor right now. We're talking about content and how often it's updated with new stuff. We're talking about user experience. Are there calls to actions? Do you answer people's questions? Is there enough content on there to actually be of value to Google? In other words, Google wants to put the best websites at the top, right? They're a search engine. They want to keep up their reputation. And they want to put the best websites that answer the most questions and give people the most help and are most interactive and that people stay on longer. They are going to rank them higher. So there's a lot of ways on the back end of your website in order to make these things work. You may have heard of things such as meta tags and tag descriptions and optimizing even the structure of how the website's built at a very foundational code level in order to make it run as best as possible. Now, the second way you can improve your SEO for your business and your website is by things called off-page, not stuff that you actually do on the website, but things that are done other places on the internet. There's this thing called backlinks, and all it means is simply how many times on other websites other than your own are you referenced? Do people send you back and link to your website? In other words, this type of SEO is a popularity contest, and it actually impacts your website ranking a ton. And that's because it means other valid sources who aren't just yourself tooting your own horn are actually saying, hey, guess what? We believe in this person, this product, this business as well. So much so that we're going to reference to them and put a link here saying, hey, you should go check them out. It's a major part of your ranking. And so it's very important that you have things going on the website and off the website in order to get the highest ranking you can. Now, rankings are competitive too. You have to stay up to date on them. If you make updates to your website, that means you're going to have to make updates to your SEO and make sure everything's still okay. Otherwise, you could start to lose your ranking again. This is something you have to pay attention to because otherwise you could be really high one month and then the next month drop lower. Now, what kind of results can you expect from SEO and how long do they take to come about? Well, SEO does take a tiny bit of patience, okay? An ad, I can throw $20 at it and probably show up number one tomorrow. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but I'll at least show up. With SEO, it takes a little bit of time because search engines do things called crawling. And it's kind of as creepy as it sounds. It looks at all the details of your website periodically, and it decides and ranks it based on all these factors that nobody fully has disclosure to, okay? So you can't go just like hack the crawling just for reference. But what happens is it goes through and looks at your website and determines where it will rank it. Well, this crawling process can take time and new content takes time. They don't really tell us exactly, when they will start making changes in the rankings. Generally, what we see based on all the work we've done is within 3 months, you will definitely start to see changes. And 3 to 6 months gives you the time to really get a picture of what full optimization for your website can be. So I will say with SEO, you have to have a tiny bit of patience, but remember it is a long-term investment. It is something that's only going to grow and help your business long run. It's not going to be something pulled out under the rug. If Google decides tomorrow that healthcare cannot be advertised at all, well, you're in big trouble, but you still own everything on your website that you've done, which is why it's so important to make sure the things you own, you have really optimized. For example, back within the last year or two, we've seen Google pull the plug on healthcare's not allowed to remarket. They literally will disqualify any of your ads if you're trying to remarket, which means if someone goes to your page that you could show up saying, hey, on the side, like on another website with a little ad. They won't allow you to remarket. They're only allowing you to market within their search engine. So if someone types into their search engine, you can pop up as a result. So Google has been known to do this. They had the official Google slap early on after having very low prices back in the 2000s for ads. And then all of a sudden they jacked up the prices overnight. Remember, they're a business, they're a company. They want to make money. In other words, you are really a sitting duck if all you're relying on is Google ads. And to be honest, the same thing goes for Facebook. It doesn't change either. Right now, it's relatively cheap at the moment to bid, depending on the way you're doing it, but it's only going to go up as the platform gains strength and gains money from their marketing partners. The other thing people get really frustrated with SEO is they feel like they're not doing anything or nothing's happened. I can't tell you how I've had people reach out to me and be like, this person's been doing SEO work. Can you look and see if they've actually done anything? Now, sadly, about 90% of the time, people haven't. There are a lot of bad SEO companies out there that promise to do stuff, and they do literally the bare minimum to the point where you guys, here in the next few weeks, I'm actually going to teach you how to do that stuff so you don't need to pay for it because it's silly how little they do for you. And that is why I think it's important that you know how to do your foundational SEO. Now, the hard thing is most people really don't realize the results they're getting because they're not tracking their numbers anyway. But we've seen from the people that we've taken who've been on previous other website services and come into PT Website Secrets, get on our custom WordPress theme and get their website fully designed for content, for user experience, for mobile speed, for all of it, for calls to action, and work on their second piece of SEO, right? Working on getting them listed appropriately. We've seen people increase their traffic 150 to 200%. Without any ads, just by laying the right foundation with the right website. It's incredible what you can achieve when you focus on these things. Winning with SEO is getting more and more people to your website without investing money in Google and Facebook ads. In other words, investing money where you'll get a return in something you own and own for life. With that more traffic and the right website, you'll be able to capture more new patient leads, leaving you more people to convert and bring in as patients. If SEO is something that you want to know more about, you want to learn more about, you want to understand how to use it in your business, then you got to sign up for my new free live training. First time we've ever done one on SEO. And all you need to do is go to SEOlivetraining.com and grab a spot. Be sure though to go grab a spot soon because it's going to fill up and I'm not going to be able to seat everybody in the training. So make sure, go to SEOlivetraining.com, grab your spot,